What is the connection with Rimas and Zeno? Now, with the latest episode of Dragon Ball Daima, we got a lot of new information. We pretty much got some backstories and origins of the universe. And we're getting that, Rimas is the one that created all the universes. And he's supposed to be a super Majin from the we don't know if he's from the demon realm or not, but we do know he's a super Majin who was pretty much got the idea to get employed by a good supreme demon king that was around at the time, who pretty much we don't know that much about that person either, but he was doing that to expand the demon realm. And by this later on, after Rimas created the universes, he pretty much got the Glens to come over and be the Kais to look after each of those different universes. But there's a lot of things that raises kind of like an eyebrow and a lot of questions, and a lot of people sparking debates on who is the supreme ruler of the multiverse. Is it Zeno? Is it Rimas? And first and foremost, we're going to go into like statements of the show of what we have so far. I don't know if we're going to get any more information about Rimas or he's going to ever show up in the series of Daima. I doubt it, but it's a possibility that we may hopefully get some more information about him and where he's at right now, because he's still around. So that we know for sure. But where is he in the grand scheme of things? That's why I kind of wish, Dragon Ball Daima took place after Dragon Ball Super, because it would, kind of bridge in some stuff a little bit more. But then again, this has got us talking. Now, I went back to go look at Dragon Ball Super. Now, the Supreme Kai, what we're going to call Nahari, he knows about, Rimas. So he knows this story. But if we fast forward to Dragon Ball Super, when Zeno shows up, he doesn't have a clue of who Zeno is. And the old Supreme Kai is, pretty much giving him hell about that, saying that, does he know anything? You get what I'm saying? So one thing we know is the Supreme Kai is very young compared to the other Kais and stuff. So there's a lot of things that he doesn't know. So he wasn't aware of who Zeno is. Now, the old Supreme Kai has shown that he knows a lot of knowledge. So it's a good chance he may have a better idea of knowing who came before either Zeno or Rimas and who's more powerful and who's what. But pretty much he does describe Zeno as pretty much the ruler of the 12 universes that's currently around after, the ones that Zeno destroyed as well. So there's different ways to look at this. Now, on one hand, we could look at it as Rimas being above Zeno and him putting Zeno in place to be the one that look over all the universes, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of, theories and parallels of, Rimas being the god of creation and pretty much Zeno being the god of destruction. And it makes kind of a sense where, you'll say Rimas is like the lead guy for all the Kais, and Zeno will be the lead guide for all of the god of destruction. And then we have the Grand Priest, who's the lead guy over all the angels. And that will all make sense. And you have those different, hierarchies for those different branches. I'll say departments when it all comes to this. But I feel like there still may be someone who's above all of them. And we don't even know how powerful the guards that's with Zeno is as well. So that we're not too sure. But with this, we're going to have to look at some more key elements when we're looking at this topic, because at the same time, when you're looking at a character like the Grand Priest, and pretty much Whis, when he describes Grand Priest and saying that he's in the top 5 strongest in the universe. Now, there's still other people that we have to look at. Like I said in the previous video, we have the Grand Priest. We still don't know anything about Zalama and where he's at, but we know he's got to still be alive and around because the Super Dragon Balls are still around. And if we're looking at it connecting to like Namekians and Dragon Balls, unless it has a different type of, connection where the creator doesn't have to be around, and maybe no one actually created, that type of stipulation when it comes to the Super Dragon Balls. We're not too sure, but one thing we could say that if we're following all of these theories, we'll know that Zalama is still around somewhere, and we know that Rimas is still around. But they also said a key thing is, which it could just be a translation thing, but they do say when the Supreme Kai is describing and explaining the history of the universe, and he's talking about, Rimas, he says, the good Supreme Demon King pretty much went and got, Rimas to create the 12 universes. And he said they're the highest, they have the highest authority in the universe. So he says the word they is that who is the they? Are there multiple other people from whatever the beings that's supposed to be like the super Majins that Rimas comes from? Where are those people at? And what, universe or their home world or their origins, do they stay somewhere outside of the demon realm? Are they in the demon realm or somewhere in a world of void type thing? We don't know. So there's a lot of more questions, and like I said, the hierarchy continues to rise as we don't know which came first. Is there another, like, by him creating 12 universes, there's still a area where all those universes have to sit, you understand? So that's where kind of, as we look at a character like Zeno, he sits outside of those 12 universes. Now, the other thing I'm going to say is that there is possibly someone, like, I believe there's someone above both of these characters. I feel like there's someone above Rimas and Zeno. And I don't think Zeno is the top guy. And, because ultimately I feel like there is just one God who's pretty much over everything that sits outside of all this universes, the demon realm, the outside universes, everything, who's pretty much, and that's like the God. And I feel like we haven't, seen or any reference. Everyone else is just pretty much the workers that's doing their duties under that, and we're just climbing a ladder of reaching these different, people, but there's still that one top person. And I feel like as the history goes on, we're gonna always continue to see that thing expand and just gets higher and higher. Because the other thing is, for someone to be as powerful as Zeno is not, I could say fully omnipotent or all-seeing in a sense. And the thing that brings that to me is that when you look back at the Goku Black arc and we see, Goku ends up calling the Zeno from a different timeline, and that just kind of sparked the clue to me that showed that Zeno is not really the all-powerful God in the whole Dragon Ball multiverse. Because at the end of the day, I feel like a character like that will be one to sit outside of all time and space. They wouldn't be able to have multiple copies and versions of them when you're looking at timeline. This person will sit outside of time and space and pretty much oversee everything, the beginning, the end all be all, everything. And I feel like we haven't seen that character yet be shown. And I don't think we are going to get to see that type of character, because I feel like I said, to see the actual God is probably something that's like, on levels beyond of what we could even imagine. So I feel like by us having all these different hierarchies and things that's going on in the series, it's kind of just showing this is just a ladder and stepping stone of ways to go when it comes to it. And also just showing the key factor of all the things that Zamasu was complaining about mortals and gods. At the end of the day, all of these guys are just mortals that just had special titles, put on them, and maybe some type of special privilege that's been shown. Like I said before, like the whole thing with the Patara earrings about being a god and all these other different things that it would only affect. But ultimately it seemed like I said, with these guys are mortals, they don't know everything. So sometimes some stuff get retconned, and even when it comes down to this, the information about the Patara earrings and a lot of other things. So I feel like the only person in the series who may know a lot more, and at times, certain times they could give like insights, as we've seen, is of course the old Kai, and we have of course Whis as the person for Dragon Ball Super, who tend to kind of like showcase and see through certain things and and know a little bit about it by keeping some things under wraps at the same time. So I feel like ultimately there is someone that's probably above both of these characters that we haven't seen yet. Now, as far as the connection to them, there could be so much connection. They could possibly be, Rimas being related to Zeno, maybe being his father or something like that, and having him being taken care of by these other two, characters. But the thing is, as we look at their ears, they're very different in how they look. So I don't think they're related, and they look like completely different beings and stuff just from the ear shape. And you could kind of see that Zeno is not originating from the Demon of. It's talking about the pointy ears. But there's just so much stuff to just kind of look at it when we're, comparing all these different beings and creatures in the series. Now, with that being said, like I said, by seeing those certain clues, I feel like Zeno is not the all being, like I said, but we got to see more of Zeno so far in Dragon Ball Super. As far as Rimas, we don't really have a clue too much of anything about him besides this little brief information, which I hope they give us more information about him as we go through the arcs in Dragon Ball Daima. And so far all we just know is he's a Super Majin, and like I said, I'm pretty sure there may be many more of them, but we know that he's still alive and well, but we don't know if more of his kind is still around out there. So hopefully they give us more backstory on him to see where is he at now and what is he doing, and explain a little bit more about his powers and abilities and everything to be able to create these different universes and these different worlds at the same time. So that there's a lot more to this character, like I said, as we see in the series. But right now, that's it for this video. I'm still thinking if I should do a live and us go through a breakdown investigation to go more into details about figuring it out who's Rimas and his connection to Zeno and everything else that's been going on in the Dragon Ball multiverse. Because like I said, it's still so much like other worlds, so much things that that just look like a whole different realm in itself that is pretty much different from that of the demon realm. And we're not even sure that if all the universes share the same other world, which I doubt it, because I think each universe may have their own other world, or not to say other world, but probably different sections that's divided. So different universes will probably have their section of people where they go to, but they may still be able to probably, I guess, maybe intertwine with each other, or maybe not. Because at the end of the day, when Majin Buu is wreaking havoc, I don't think anybody from these other universes experienced anything about that, with him going at it with the Kais, and he was only just affecting the Kais of Universe 7 and not really the Kais in all the other universes. But then again, it's hard to say when we're looking at the different universes in Otherworld and what exactly is Otherworld, if it's like connected to just the 12 universes, or if it's its own dimension and realm, pretty much, as we look at that. And same thing for Hell as well, but we know Hell is definitely connected to Otherworld because it's kind of like just below. So I don't think it's like a different dimension. It's definitely connected to that same type of realm. So it's really hard to say what we're looking at, that, and hopefully they explain a little bit more about this as the show progresses. So that's it for this video. I want you guys to get in the comments, tell us what you think. We're going to try to investigate this and figure out what is Rimas' connection to Zeno, who's the true ruler of the universe, and pretty much get down to the bottom of all of this, God hierarchy that's been going on in Dragon Ball.